share some good things for how the judiciary has led its way on protecting the environment and air pollution. 53 years ago, our constitution, we had a constitution, and Pakistan never had right to environment in this constitution. It took us almost a couple of years that the Supreme Court of Pakistan, inshallah Zawabda, PLD 94 Supreme Court, has held the right to life under Article 9, means to right to a healthy environment. And after 1994, I must share that we are very lucky that 26th Amendment, that Article 9A was inserted in the Constitution. 9A is now Pakistan, every citizen has a right to a clean, healthy and sustainable environment in the Constitution now, which is a fundamental right. Coming back to the issue of air pollution, Pakistan judiciary is always led the way internationally on its judgments, what implications are. I'll share two judgments as a lawyer, specifically on air pollution. The first was Anjum Irfan versus LDA, 2002, PLD Lahore 555. A woman living near Regal Cinema on Mall Road brought a case that I have a right, my right to life is under threat. She got the medical test. The air pollution at that time on Mall Road was high. Back in 2001 and 2002, court appointed us. We argued the case on the point and suggested the judge at that time that we have the law of 1997, and the only issue of air pollution is the factories under Section 11 and the implementation of Section 15, where Section 11 says no person shall discharge or emit more than the NEQS, and Section 15 is something which was never implemented by the government until last year, because they had Section 15 which clearly states, unlike other countries, it states that no person shall operate a motor vehicle without a testing, fuel, maintenance and the sticker now. Now everybody sitting in the hall now, everybody has now a sticker of EPA. You will get challan or fine if you don't use that now, because government has woken up now just because of what the judiciary has been doing. So 2001, the judgment directed the government to make regulations. Then the judgment of Justice Mansoor Shah, where I was the amicus in that case by Justice Hamid Ali Shah, we suggested the court that we need to have the purely, specifically motor vehicle rules, emission rules, and the government again took 5 years, and there are now Punjab Environment Motor Vehicle Emission Control Rules 2013 under the Act. And that's the output of that judgment. Then when I became a judge, the first case which came to me after Shah's sub-judgment on climate mitigation, I gave a judgment on climate adaptation, that the second source to control air pollution is the plantation of tree. Unfortunately, Pakistan never had the urban PARI policy of tree plantation, and then we brought the urban unit. They sat down and we studied that they brought up a very good policy called urban tree plantation policy. We planted billions of trees across Punjab, all over Pakistan, on the concept that we looked at every law, Forest Act, PHA laws, LDS laws, environmental law, societies laws. Every law has a provision that they have to plant. Tree plantation is something very must. Like London had the pollution issue, and London in 1950s got the London maple, the silver maple, London tree, there are so many trees to control pollution of site, nitrogen, sulfur and the lead they do. I was telling somebody just before we came out, my barometer as a citizen of Pakistan is my white shirt, which I use in a court as a lawyer, as a judge. My white shirt back as a lawyer, used to and every day I have to see what is going in my the shirt was again that color. When I was shifted to Bhavalpur, shirt took 4 days to become black. I went to Multan bench for a couple of months, shirt took 5 days to become black. Now I'm in Rawalpindi bench, shirt takes 2 months to become black. See, this shows what are we inhaling. I am grateful to Dawn, the Breathe Pakistan, what the topic we're discussing. That's the most important of Amal Sukhera. A 3-year-old girl came to my court last year on 8th of November that my schools are shut. I can't go to my grandparents' house. I can't go out to my lawn to play. I'm in my house, in my room, with my laptop. Do I have a right, my intergenerational right? I examined the Antonio Abasa judgment of the intergenerational right, that the future generation rights, like Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Hadith, and that Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Hadith was sustainable development to meet the end of future generation, the intergenerational right. We got all judgments of Supreme Court, excellent judgment of the High Court, brought the concept of Article 199(1)(a), brought Article 9A, read in Article 9A that you are lucky that you are coming to a High Court after 15 days of the 26th Amendment. You have a right to environment now because you are a citizen of Pakistan. The right to a clean, healthy environment is a part of our Constitution. It's my duty to give you that right. I only directed the government. So I have the order here, it's on the net. I directed the Secretary, can you please explain what steps have you taken under Section 15(1), Section 15(2), Section 15(3) on motor vehicle emissions, and what steps you're taking under Section 33(4), that have you made rules and what rules you've made? Why aren't you checking motor vehicle and its pollution? The answer is they are taking action now. There is now a robust kind of campaign by this. I can see EPA Manik Sahab sitting here, can explain that you are now taking action. I can see a half glass full, but I'm seeing as a full because I must say that it took them almost 28 years of the law. At least they woke up and stood with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jawad Sahab. So the first question was a celebratory question, but now let me come to a much more critical question. What is the problem people want to understand? What is the problem? Why can't we solve this problem? It seems that when this question is asked, everyone starts pointing fingers at the other. Now, what people in general are not interested in either the legislature celebrating that we've given you a fundamental right, or the judiciary celebrating that we've given you these principles of environmental justice, or the executive taking out full-page ads saying that we've done this. Fault. So as they want to understand the problem, as I said, as Ghalib said, that Ibn Maryam hua kare koi, mere dukh ki dawa kare koi. So what is the problem in terms of, is it a legislative problem, is it a judicial problem, is it an executive problem, or is this society just not able to see the challenge which air pollution poses?
So, do I go first?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So, on a lighter note first for Justice Jawad Hassan, I mean, at the Supreme Court, we change the white shirt every day. That helps. You don't have to wait for 5 days and make it, wait till it gets dirty. Anyway, that's just a tip from the Supreme Court.
That is because of other problems that the Supreme Court.
So having said that, in the second comment that Justice Jawad made that the government has woken up, I think that's totally wrong, and I'll explain. So if you look at the 20 years or 30 years of experience of doing public interest litigation and deciding matters, if I were to identify the problems, first problem is more, you talked about legislature, I think the first problem is constitutional. The subject of pollution has now been devolved to the provinces. There is no national domain to oversee the whole problem at a national level. So I think there's a huge disconnect at the federal level and the provincial level, and I think this can be resolved through something called cooperative federalism, because the federal government will have to play a role in laying down policy or standards, and then execution has to come to the provinces. So there is a bit of a disconnect as far as federal government and provincial governments are concerned, and devolution of pollution is a problematic area which needs to be addressed. But that was legislative problem. Coming on to the executive issue, I think largely what I've, and I share my experience as a judge for all these years, is that I don't think the government is interested in changing the life of an ordinary person. It is all elitist. Everything that is done is elitist to satisfy or to protect an industry or perhaps a pressure group, but an ordinary person is not in the picture. So that's what I've realized, that the ordinary person is not relevant. So air pollution, go deal with it yourself. We don't really care. Let's just go build industry. Let's do something else. I'm not saying development is bad. Development ought to have been done, should be done, but there has to be intelligent ways of doing it. So let's see how we do it. Executive is the gatekeeper to projects, right? So who controls projects? That is done by Environmental Protection Agency. It says, sorry, you can't set up this project, or you can set up this project, and there's this thing called environmental impact assessment. That's the gatekeeper. You say, sorry, this is not environmentally friendly, we don't allow you this project. But EPAs of the world are what? EPA of Pakistan is a department of the government, and it's fully captured by the government. There's a judgment called Imrana Tivana which says there's a total regulatory capture. Do you think that EPA is going to tell the provincial government that this project we cancel, we don't allow this project to take off? Do you think that's possible? So what are we doing? I mean, we're fooling ourselves. We have an EPA that is a subservient department to the government. How could it oppose government's will and wishes? Number one. Second, have a look at the people running EPA. Who are those people? What kind of degrees do they hold in environment, in science? What do they hold? We have no clue. I mean, how they get transferred? Who's running EPA? Look at their capacity sometimes, and then you'll figure out why things are going wrong. Then let's look at our bureaucracy, and no disrespect to, we have friends there also. A secretary gets appointed as Secretary Environment. He's come from some other department for a couple of months. He has not got through any special training on environment. He has no understanding what the problem is. He's just there for a couple of months. He doesn't know when he gets transferred. What do you expect him to sit down and make a policy out of for you on how to resolve air pollution in Punjab? Do you think he has the energy and the time and the expertise to do that? So what are we really doing? We're fooling ourselves. There's a department called Environment Department. There's an EPA. I think they don't know anything about anything, and we've seen that happen in the court. With great respect to Manik Shah Sahab sitting here, Jawad Hassan has been praising him, and I praise him too. He's been a very good officer. But I'm saying as an institution, I'm talking about a generic thing. Our institutions, our regulators have failed, and they don't have the capacity to do anything. That's the second thing. The third thing, civil society sitting right in front of me. It's dead. Where are the public interest litigation? You're going to sit at home and crib about air pollution? You're going to sit at home and talk about climate change? When have you come out to file petitions? When have you gone out protesting? Civil societies that are dead, this happens to them. See, so live with the air pollution that you have, because you haven't done much to my mind. You should be more active. You should have come to courts, pursued cases, fight for your right. If you don't want to fight for your right, nobody's going to bother about you. So you're actually sitting at home doing nothing. So civil society is weak, regulatory functions are weak, government is not interested in people, and now coming to the judiciary. Now judiciary, as far as environment is concerned, is a niche litigation. You know, you have some judges running this show. 3 of us sitting here, maybe 1 or 2 others. The whole corpus of judiciary doesn't know what we're talking about, frankly, because a lot of judges don't know much about the environment or the climate change, and whenever any issue arises, say, Mansoor se baat kar lena, climate ka sawal aa gaya hai, go talk to Justice Aisha, it's about climate. What is this? I mean, do you think the most serious existential threat Pakistan is facing There can't be a more serious threat to Pakistan than climate change right now, or air pollution. And we're not bothered. And we are looking at this as a very fancy concept. So I think within the judiciary, we need to enlarge the scope. Most of our judges need to understand this, building capacity. We need to understand that this is a serious fundamental right issue, nothing to do with the environment in that sense, but a fundamental right issue which we must address. So that's the judicial function. Executive function is the major function which is lacking to my mind. There is, as I said earlier, a serious governance issue. And then coupled with a nice, relaxed civil society, good luck. Enjoy the air pollution. Thank you.
Justice Aisha, if I may just add, because one has seen in your work that you've moved on to basically monitoring and compliance by the government. So could you please also talk about this regulatory capture issue?
So as I said, I think one of the biggest issues and the biggest challenges we face is enforcement and implementation of the law and of the policies that are made. As I understand it, and what my experience from the bench is, that we treat air pollution and environment issues as inconveniences. And today we fail to recognize the fact that air pollution actually is a public health emergency. It is nothing less than a public health emergency, which if we don't understand the impact it is having for the generations to come, we won't be able to resolve the issue, we won't be able to save the generations to come. I think what's also important to understand is that when we say governance is an issue, and as you asked, it's important to understand, at least as a court, what I expect when someone brings a case to me, and when I ask the government, all right, what are the steps you've taken? What is your response? What do I expect? What do I need? Well, for one thing, there's a policy and the law. You've brought that before me. But where is the monitoring under that policy? Where is the reporting? Where is the data on the basis of which decisions were made? Where are all those reports that you have relied upon to look at on the basis of which you thought a project was relevant or viable, or on the basis of which you are able to say this will not impact the air pollution, this will not impact the air that we breathe? So I think there's a big problem there because we're weak on reporting and monitoring. We tick boxes, but we don't follow through. And without reporting and monitoring, without developing data, it's a science now. It's not what I think or you think. It's a science. You need the science. And without the science, you cannot control the problem. The second issue is that everything that is done is reactive. First the problem, then you react. There is no planning. You don't see long-term planning. You don't see that this issue has been thought through. Today, the air that you breathe has become a commodity. It's become a commodity that is affordable for those who have the ability to buy the air filters, the humidifiers, the masks, and who can actually clean and filter the air that they breathe. And what does that do? That creates more disparity. That becomes the fact that now society, again, there is this injustice, this inequality, because everyone doesn't have the ability to filter the air that they breathe. So if this is what has happened, that the air that you breathe has become a commodity now. For those who are able to clean it for themselves, they're okay, or relatively okay, but not for the ones, the vulnerable people, or the masses of the people who can't even afford the potted plants that allegedly clean the air to some extent. So this is a big issue. And in governance, you need regular reporting, monitoring, you need data, you need capacity. Where is the capacity building? If even today we're still looking at this as a specialized institution, then we've misunderstood the impact, we've misunderstood the relevance. It's no longer specialized. The environment and climate change is something everyone has to know about. Everyone has to understand it, and it has to factor in every decision making. You can't take decisions without factoring in the environment. It is relevant, it is very relevant. And I think I also would like to address the youth, the people for whom this is being done. What is the air that you want to breathe in your tomorrow? What is the Pakistan that you want to see tomorrow? So what is the youth doing with its education, with its ability to write and to speak? Where is your expertise? Because we lack in the expertise as well. You don't see the academia churning out information, churning out reports and articles on it. You don't see the youth also paying attention to this. It's easy to criticize, but it's difficult to become a part of the solution, which is what the youth should be looking at, that if you want your rights, if you want that right to clean air to actually become clean air, you have to see what your role is going to be in that. Be it in whether you're just simply writing, or you're speaking out, or you're protesting, or you're bringing litigation to courts, what are you doing? And what are the steps that you are taking in order to ensure that you get that right? I would also like to say that we need to invest, when we need to realize that all problems require money. So there has to be will to invest in this issue of environment, of climate change, of the air that you breathe. This is something that requires a lot of investment. So if we're just going to put aside a little bit of money and do a little bit of things and tick boxes again, it's not going to control it. I mean, most people have to have antihistamines and medication for their breathing, and we've become a nation full of asthmatic people because the air that you breathe is so toxic that it's very difficult. It's difficult to function. And in another month, sitting in Lahore, breathing in Lahore, and in many other cities will become difficult. I drive down to Lahore every weekend, and you can see that thick, dense air. The minute you enter in that vicinity in Punjab, you can see the thick, dense air. That's what you are breathing. So for governance is an issue. Governance requires monitoring, data, capacity building, resource. And if I have to underscore everything, I'd say it requires will and commitment. We have to recognize this is not an inconvenience, but a fundamental right that everybody deserves.
Thank you, Jawad Sahab, especially since you're the most optimistic about the government on this panel. I think the answers pose a challenge for you.
I fixed it in the Amal Sukera because the best way to do it, there are laws, and if you look at the constitution of Pakistan, there is a federation and there is a provincial government. So in Amal Sukera, what I did not ask the EPA to do this, I asked the secretary to do this. So the constitution of Pakistan under Article 90 says there will be a federal government which functions under Article 99 and the federal government rules of business. And the Ministry of Climate Change is a Schedule 1, and there is a minister and a secretary's obligation to implement the laws. In the case of Amal Sukera, in my last paragraph, I mentioned that the provincial government of Punjab under Schedule 1 has the Environmental Protection Department, and EPA is the autonomous body attached with the EPA. You cannot ask EPA to do because you are all under the secretary, which is under Rule 10 of the Punjab Government Rules of Business 2000 and administrative measures to adopt and implement the law. So I ask that we can go straight to the secretary under Doctrine of Sovereignty, under Rule 4, under the Federal Rules of Business, and Rule 10 of the provincial government. And when I ask the secretary to submit the report, check from the EPA, check from the DG, check from everyone what step you've taken, because you are then under the constitutional obligation of Article 4. Article 4 of the Constitution provides an inalienable right of every citizen to be treated as per law. Inalienable is my birthright to have clean air, clean water. Roti kapda makan is because of my kismat. So clean air is my right, which is like the concept of the public trust doctrine of common law, that these are sources that belong to, we are a trustee of God on this universe. I must acknowledge, Muhammad Yahya Mo is sitting here, that Pakistan was being the biggest beneficiary of the donors and help, whatever we've done. As you can see, IUCN has the largest office in Pakistan. WWF has the largest office outside Geneva in Pakistan. We had been approached by lots of donors, have been working in Pakistan environment, and whatever we have done, more or less, is because of the donor coming to Pakistan. Your UNICEF project is also looking at the environment sides now. We are always grateful because when we do good work, you come to us, and we always execute. Government is doing their work, judiciary is doing their work, and when three of us was in Baku in last November, and this question came to us and the panel together in a COP29, my answer was that judiciary has been in forefront. Pakistan judiciary got together, the entire 7 SAARC countries. We are all collectively called Bourbon Declaration. They sat down with 7 Chief Justices in Bourbon on 23rd of April 2012. They declared a Bourbon Declaration on the Supreme Court website that within a month we will establish green tribunals. They did. There are lots of judgments coming to all Sindh, Punjab, KPK environmental tribunal. Green benches, green magistrates, and green judiciary. That was done. Then Supreme Court again convened a huge conference and came out with a declaration on water declaration. That happened in 20th October 2018. I've never seen the largest amount of crowd under one roof 2 days from 9 to 11 p.m. at night. People from the age of 18 to the age of 95 were sitting all day. Even Sayyid Babar Ali, who was now 99, he must have been 95 at that time, Jamali Sahib, Zafullah Jamali, everybody, Rohidar, everybody came and talked about Pakistan water. That was the commitment of the Supreme Court coming out with water declaration of 10 points. Last year, Justice Shah and Justice Aisha Malik and we all had the huge conference on climate justice at the Supreme Court on 8th of June 2024. We came out with a vision what Pakistan judiciary should do. We are seeking help from the capacity building. We are looking at partners to involve the advocates, to train them, the tribunals, the civil judiciary, the lot sitting here. We are looking at more things because we are all need funds. And we, judges are all there. We have few judges more coming in, looking at us. And that was a very important conference last year at the Supreme Court, where I must say, because of Justice Shah, Justice Aisha Malik, the entire diplomats were sitting all day. The ambassador of Azerbaijan sat with us because we were going to his country. Everybody sat with us because they know the importance of that subject. That shows the seriousness of the donors for us. That shows the seriousness of the foreign help we getting. That shows the Pakistan judiciary pioneering, leading the environment in the world. That shows Pakistan government woken up and walking fastly now. That is the positive side of Pakistan. Thank you.